Welcome back. Bragging rights in the state of Ohio. We have 17 of the top micropolitan areas in the entire country. What is a micropolitan area and how did we get so many winning projects? Here to talk about that is the man who's in part responsible for what's happening in Findlay, Ohio. This is Tony Aridi, Economic Development Director with the, let's figure this out now, the Findlay Hancock County Economic Development Group.
That's correct.
Close enough anyway. Tell us how Findlay has managed to stay on Site Selection Magazine's list now for, I think it's 5 years.
Yeah, we actually last year we were number 6 in the country, and we really look at it as being we have a very strong retention program, meaning that we go out and visit our companies every year to make sure that if they are doing some expansions, that we're there to help them. And if they're not doing so well, there may be some programs that we can help them kind of get over the hump. But I think the strong retention program will help any community.
Well, what retention means is we've got a company here, we want them to be happy, successful, and growing. We contact them, make sure that they are happy, successful, and growing, and if they need help doing any of those things, we provide it. What can your organization or the state of Ohio or the county of Hancock do?
Well, I think there's so many things that we can do. There's not many incentives involved in this at all because at the local level we may be able to help them with some training grants and things. We work very closely with the Regional Growth Partnership, who is the Jobs Ohio Network partner that we work with for state incentives, and even as we know now that the state is trying to eliminate those incentives, which I think is a good idea because they're going to lower the overall tax burden on businesses. So just being there, being able to help them in whatever way they need to have help, and really building that strong relationship between the company and the ED organization.
And now define the term. What is a micropolitan area? How do you qualify for a micropolitan?
A micropolitan, it means a community that has jurisdiction within a single county or multiple counties, but is a population of less than 50,000.
And what are the criteria that Site Selection Magazine used?
They look at the types of deals that you have and look at 3 different criteria. One is a company adding more than 50 jobs in a particular year? And number 2 is, are they making an investment of over $1 million? Because a lot of times there may not be a building involved or expansion, but they'll be adding new lines of machinery and equipment. And then the third piece is that they've expanded their facility by at least 20,000 square feet.
Now, we went out to Rowmark earlier this week when we did the story on this. That's a look at the facility. They have been in business in your town for 30 years now, and they have expanded to 130 people. They've added 90 people over the last decade. Fascinating global company, but there are a lot of companies like this. What I find fascinating about Site Selection Magazine and 5 consecutive years is it takes a while for some of these projects to get going. So you might have a lag year where you're not really not doing well. It just takes time to put these deals together. But you've been on the map for 5 consecutive years.
Yeah, it's really amazing because sometimes a sales cycle can take upwards to 2 years before you actually see it come together. And Rowmark is such a great example of the epitome of the types of companies that we like to attract. We like to bring those companies in that'll maybe start with 50 jobs, maybe up to 100 jobs, and then grow over the years. Nish and Break, Ohio is probably the best example. When they came into Findlay about 20 years ago, they had less than 100 employees. Today they have over 1,000 employees.
And you had 17 projects over the last year that fit one of the 3 criteria you mentioned. The number 1 town you had 19.
At 19.
The number 1 town had 20.
Correct.
Now, what's the prognosis for next year?
Well, the tough part's going to be filling in those 19 again, but as you know, we know the folks down in Mooresville, North Carolina, and we told them they'd better keep looking over their shoulder because we're coming.
Now, I got the number 17 stuck in my head because there are 17 micropolitan areas just in the state of Ohio. Number 1 in the entire country. We have more of these than any other state in the country. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think that, you know, companies now are starting to look at that area outside of the metropolitans. And a lot of it, I think, has to do with workforce because they know the kind of work ethic that comes out of especially rural areas and things. Worcester is another great example. They've been on the Site Selection magazine rankings for the last couple of years, and it's the same kind of thing. And so I think they're looking to those micropolitans for that reason. Less hassle with traffic and all the other kinds of things that go along with larger communities.
The fact that you have been on the list now for 5 years, does that help in recruitment?
Oh, absolutely, it does. You know, now, and it's really funny because Site Selection embargoes that information until the very last minute, and so you know, now we'll begin to use that in every kind of ad or things that brochures that we put together from here out.
It's obviously one of those niche magazines that a lot of folks haven't heard of, but it's an important, influential magazine in the circles that you run in.
Correct, because today, when companies are looking to put a facility somewhere, they want to go through a site selector, and that's kind of what this magazine is geared towards, is the guys that go out and put the boots on the ground and find the land and find the deals, and then the company comes in. In most cases, you don't even know who the company is until that very last minute.
Now, there are other states that are doing well, Texas and Louisiana. What are they doing perhaps better than we're doing here in Ohio?
Well, I think Texas, they're going out and just buying business. They're going wherever they can and just and bringing them in. So you really have to give Governor Kasich credit, because he wants to use the state and what we offer businesses to really make things work here, and not just go out and buy those companies. But you know what I tell everybody they say, well, but the climate in Northwest Ohio, I said, what, are you kidding me? That's the best thing about it. We have 4 seasons.
Well, and the sun was shining on Friday.
Absolutely.
There's a new season right there.
That's right.
All right, now I asked you a little bit earlier about how do you keep this momentum going? What are some of the big projects over the next year to keep you on the list?
Well, we had a really nice project that we just announced several weeks ago with Cooper Tire and Rubber. You know, and Findlay's kind of that anomaly, because now Marathon Petroleum, an $80 billion oil company, is headquartered on our main street, which is unheard of. Cooper Tire's headquartered in Findlay as well. Cooper Tire announced that they're going to do a global technical center, where they're going to hire about 40 to 45 PhDs, scientists, engineers, and the kinds of jobs that people want to see. So,
those are high salary jobs.
absolutely.
Too. High tech, high salary. Well, obviously Findlay is doing something right 5 years in a row on Site Selection Magazine's top Micropolitan list. You can probably find it, just do a Google search for Site Selection Magazine, read the article called Micros, and you'll find Findlay, Ohio in there. Tony Uridi, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll do this again next year, I hope.
Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about, in our next segment, a disease that affects 17,000 kids in our country, and you may not have even heard of it. Talk about Cure JM on the other side of this break.